Imagine a world where one man, once broken and forgotten, rises from the ashes to become a hero, a leader, and a symbol of redemption. This is the story of a homeless veteran who defied all odds, faced betrayal, and ultimately changed the world. Stay tuned, because you won't believe how his journey unfolds. Before we jump into this gripping story, where are you watching from? Let me know your city and country in the comments below. It's amazing to see where this community is growing from around the world. If you're here for tales that touch the heart and spark the imagination, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel so you'll never miss a new narrative. Alright, it's time to bring this story to life. Let's get into it. In a world where prejudice still thrives, one man's journey from the lowest point of his life to national recognition stands as a testament to resilience, justice, and redemption. This is the story of a black veteran who, after losing everything, found the strength to not only reclaim his life, but to transform society itself. Meet John, a man who once served his country, now struggling to survive after a bitter divorce that left him homeless. Each day, he seeks solace in a small luxury, a meal at a high-end restaurant, a temporary escape from his harsh reality. Little does he know, this place will be the setting for his redemption. John steps through the door, his clothes worn and his face weathered, yet his eyes are full of determination. The staff doesn't hide their disdain, their eyes flicking over him as he walks past, but John pays no mind. For him, this restaurant is more than just a place to eat. It's the last thread of dignity he has left in a world that has turned its back on him. Every day, the same routine. He orders the same meal, quietly, without complaint, sitting in the corner where no one can see him. It's the only place he feels a semblance of normalcy, a fleeting moment of peace in his otherwise chaotic life. But there's one person in this place who can't seem to leave him in peace. Derek, the restaurant manager. From the moment John walks in, Derek makes his presence known. He scoffs, mutters insults under his breath, and ensures John feels every bit the outsider. It's not just the rude comments or the sneers that sting. It's the cold, deliberate indifference that makes John feel invisible. Derek doesn't see a man struggling to put his life back together. He sees a homeless black man, nothing more. John endures it all, never reacting, never letting the cruelty get the best of him. He's learned, through years of service and suffering, that silence is often the best weapon. But behind his stoic face, the weight of the world presses down on him. Every insult, every dismissive glance, chips away at the pride he has left, but he holds on. He has to, because no matter how much the world tries to break him, John knows something that Derek doesn't. He is stronger than they think. And so, John continues to come, day after day, week after week. He sits in that corner unbothered, waiting for the day that his story will change. He doesn't know when it will happen, but he knows it will. What he doesn't realize is that the restaurant, once a symbol of everything he's lost, will soon become the place where everything changes, for him, for Derek, and for everyone who ever doubted him. Despite the glances, the whispers, and the derisive comments from the staff, John maintains his dignity. He walks in with purpose, his worn shoes tapping against the polished floors, as eyes shift away from him. The air thickens with judgment, but John's gaze remains fixed unwavering as he makes his way to his usual seat. The manager, Derek, doesn't miss a beat. He watches John approach, his sneer curling at the corners of his lips. The disdain is palpable, so much so that it feels like the room itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. John orders as usual, a quiet request, careful not to draw any unnecessary attention. He knows what Derek is thinking. He's seen the way the man looks at him, as if he doesn't deserve to be here. Derek rolls his eyes, barely disguising his disgust, mocking John's appearance as if he were nothing more than an inconvenience to his day. The insults are subtle at first, whispers and glances that cut deeper than any words could. But it's the indifference, the casual disregard, that hurts the most. John stands tall, unaffected. His heart may be heavy, weighed down by the years of struggle, by the divorce, the homelessness, the endless fight to survive, but he refuses to let anyone see it. For him, this place, this restaurant, is a small escape from the chaos. A moment of normalcy in a life that has been anything but. The insults, the slights, they come and go, but he doesn't respond. His battle isn't with Derek. It's with himself, with the man he's trying so desperately to rebuild, piece by piece, day by day. Every meal is a small victory. Every dollar spent is a step toward reclaiming what he lost. But John's focus is clear, his mind set on the one thing that matters more than anything else: survival. He pays for his meal and leaves, never acknowledging the poison in Derek's words, never giving in to the bitterness that surrounds him. He holds his head high, his pride intact, and walks out the door knowing that one day things will be different. One day, the world will see him not for what he was, but for what he is becoming. And little does he know, this small, unremarkable moment will be the calm before the storm. The moment before everything changes. Everything changes in an instant. One evening, as John enjoys his quiet meal, the buzz of conversation and clinking of silverware is suddenly shattered by the deafening sound of the door slamming open. In an instant, the calm atmosphere of the restaurant turns into a nightmare. Masked robbers burst through the door, their faces hidden behind black cloths, their guns raised high, demanding everyone to get down. The air is thick with panic as terrified patrons scramble for cover, their voices a blend of fear and disbelief. The robbers move quickly, taking money, jewelry, and anything of value from the frightened customers, their hands shaking with urgency, their threats ringing through the room. But amidst the chaos, one man remains calm. John, seated in his usual spot, doesn't flinch. His eyes scan the room, his mind sharp, assessing the situation with a clarity that comes only from years of experience. While everyone else cowers, frozen by fear, John's instincts take over. The military training he's carried with him all these years begins to surface, his body moving without hesitation. He's not just a man sitting in a restaurant anymore. He's a soldier, ready to do what he's been trained to do. As the robbers bark orders, demanding more valuables from the patrons, John stands slowly, his movements deliberate, his posture steady. His eyes narrow with purpose, the intensity of the situation igniting something deep within him. He's not going to wait for someone else to act. This is his moment, and he knows exactly what he has to do. Without a word, John moves toward the robbers, his steps silent, calculated. He's not a hero. He's not seeking glory. But in this moment, he's the only one who has the courage to stand up. His presence in the room is a silent challenge to the men with the guns, a declaration that he won't let anyone suffer while he sits idly by. His hands are steady as he approaches, his focus unwavering. The robbers are too distracted, too consumed by their own greed, to notice him at first. But when they do, it's already too late. Before they can react, John springs into action, his movements a blur, a blend of precision and power. The first robber is taken down with a swift, calculated strike, his weapon knocked from his hand before he can fire a shot. The other robbers turn, panic flashing in their eyes, but John is already on them, his military instincts kicking in, his body moving like a machine. The restaurant, once full of chaos and fear, now stands still, as patrons watch in awe, their jaws dropping as John neutralizes the threat, one robber at a time. The room, moments before filled with terror, is now quiet. John, breathing steadily, stands over the subdued robbers, his body bruised but unbroken, his resolve stronger than ever. In the blink of an eye, he's transformed from a man struggling to survive into a hero who saved everyone in that room. And as the robbers are handed over to the authorities, John quietly returns to his seat, his meal forgotten, his actions more than enough to prove that sometimes the quietest man in the room is the one who makes the biggest difference. With swift precision, John moves like a man who has done this before, not in a restaurant, not in the chaos of a robbery, but in the heat of battle. His military training has prepared him for moments like this, when every second counts, when the stakes are life and death. The first robber, eyes wide with surprise, never sees it coming. John tackles him with the force of a freight train, disarming him in a single fluid motion, his weapon skittering across the floor before it even has a chance to fire. Before the other robbers can react, John is on them, a blur of movement, a predator closing in on his prey. The second man is down in an instant, his gun snatched from his hand as John's fist connects with a calculated precision. The third robber, panicked, tries to reach for his weapon, but John is faster, his reflexes honed over years of service, his body moving with the rhythm of combat. In seconds, the threat is neutralized. The robbers, once so sure of their control over the room, are now helpless, lying on the floor, their hands bound, their weapons useless. The customers, who moments ago were cowering in fear, are now on their feet, cheering, their voices a chorus of disbelief and admiration. The staff, who had watched John walk in every day with disdain, are now witnessing something entirely different. The homeless man they had mocked, the man they had ignored, is now their savior. John stands over the subdued robbers, bloodied but calm, his breath steady, his eyes scanning the room, making sure no other danger lurks. The sound of sirens grows louder, the authorities arriving to take control of the situation, but they are too late to stop John. He has already done what needed to be done. The robbers are handed over, their faces pale with defeat, their plans shattered in a matter of seconds. As the police drag the criminals away, John remains unmoved, the silence around him a sharp contrast to the chaos that had just unfolded. He calmly returns to his seat, the same place where, just moments ago, he had been nothing more than a forgotten figure in the corner of the room. The staff and customers watch in stunned silence, unsure of how to react. The man they had once ridiculed, the one they thought was nothing more than a shadow of a life, is now the hero of the day. In that split second, everything changes. John, the homeless veteran, becomes the man who saved their lives. The man they had ignored, the man they had looked down upon, is now the man they will never forget. His bravery, his selflessness, has earned him something far greater than just the respect of those in the restaurant. It has earned him the recognition of a world that had long since turned its back on him. The applause, the gratitude, the awe in the eyes of the customers and staff. It is all for him. The quiet man who, against all odds, became the hero everyone needed. And as John stands there, bloody but unbroken, the weight of what he has done settles into the room. It's not just the customers who are changed. It's everyone who witnessed this moment. Because in the blink of an eye, the homeless man who had been nothing more than an invisible presence in their lives has become someone who will be remembered forever. Among the stunned faces in the restaurant, there's one that stands apart. Derek, the manager, the man who had once belittled John, who had mocked him, who had looked down on him without ever truly seeing him. Now, Derek stands frozen, his eyes wide, his face flushed with embarrassment. The same man who had treated John as less than human is now faced with the undeniable truth. John is not just a homeless man, but a hero, the very person who had saved them all from disaster. The weight of his actions crashes down on him, and for the first time, Derek feels the sting of guilt, sharp and undeniable. His pride, once so solid and unshakable, has crumbled into dust before his very eyes. Derek approaches John slowly, his footsteps hesitant, as though each one carries the heavy burden of regret. The room holds its breath, watching the moment unfold, as Derek stands before the man he once insulted. His voice falters as he speaks, the words coming out in a nervous stutter. I'm sorry, he says, his voice small, his eyes cast downward, unable to meet John's. I never knew. I never understood. The words, though late, carry a weight that hangs in the air, the words of a man finally coming to terms with his mistakes. John watches him, his expression unreadable. The years of insults, of disregard, of prejudice, all seem so distant now, insignificant in the face of what has just transpired. Derek's apology is not about redemption for John. It's about redemption for Derek himself. For the first time, he sees John not as the homeless man he had so callously judged, but as the strong, brave individual he truly is. Before the silence can settle, a new figure steps forward. The CEO of the restaurant, a man who had witnessed everything, approaches John with an expression of deep respect and gratitude. The crowd parts and the CEO, with a firm handshake, steps closer. "You've saved our reputation," he says, his voice sincere, filled with admiration, "and we owe you more than just our thanks." The words resonate, not just as a simple acknowledgement of John's bravery, but as a recognition of everything he has overcome, everything he has endured. In that moment, the room feels different. The staff, the customers, Derek, all of them are witnesses to a transformation. A man once unseen, once dismissed, now standing tall as the hero of the day. And though words can never truly capture the depth of what John has done, they are the first step toward a new understanding, a new respect. One that will last long after the robbers are gone and the applause fades into memory. John's actions have not only saved lives, but have shifted the very perception of what it means to be a hero. Word spreads fast. In a world where stories of tragedy and despair often dominate the headlines, John's story is one of hope, of redemption, of triumph over adversity. News outlets pick up the story, and soon his bravery is known across the country. The once forgotten veteran, the homeless man who had been nothing more than a fixture in the corner of the restaurant, has become a symbol of strength and resilience. His transformation from a man struggling to survive on the streets to a national hero is nothing short of miraculous. Every news channel, every social media feed is filled with the footage of John's heroic actions. The moment he stood up, the moment he saved the lives of those who had once ridiculed him. It's a story that captures the hearts of millions, and as the media frenzy grows, so does the recognition of the man behind it all. High-end customers, those who once turned away from John, now see him in a new light. They had once ignored him, passing judgment based on his appearance, his circumstances. But now, they offer him something more valuable than money. They offer him opportunities. Opportunities for work, for a fresh start, for a chance to rebuild his life. Business owners, influential leaders, and wealthy individuals approach John, eager to offer him a job, a hand up, a chance to prove that his story is just beginning. They see the strength in him, the courage, the determination, qualities they had failed to see before. And with each new offer, John begins to rebuild his life, piece